Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Howdy, I'm Rob.
Oh, brother. Hi, I'm Joan. I'm really glad that you're in our audience tonight. I'm not sure about this guy. Good grief. Anyway, we're really glad that you're in our audience, whether you're watching us live or if you're listening to the audio or you're watching the show live, but at a later date. We're really glad that you're here.
Yes, indeed, we are.
Paul Hollis says, "Good evening, Rob and Joan."
Paul,
Hi, Paul.
welcome back.
Welcome back.
Haven't
We've
seen
missed
you for a
you.
while.
I know you've been busy writing, which is a good thing for an author to be busy doing.
They should do that, yes.
Yeah. CW says, "Hi, Rob and Joan." Hello, CW,
Hey, CW.
from CW Hawes Book World. And Marjorie Daring says, "Howdy,"
Marjorie.
and hi back.
Howdy, hi back. Okay, well, let's get this other junk out of the way here. Thursday night, this Thursday is going to be busy. Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, WDJYFM.com and 99.1 FM in Atlanta, going out on the radio, will be Angela Eureka Smith. She'll be broadcasting out on that show. And then also tomorrow night on Haunted Campfire Tales podcast, that's at 7:30 Eastern Time here in the U.S. The best place to watch really is YouTube at Meet the Author Podcast. It's the easiest way to find us. Let's see what else we got going on.
We'll be going over evidence from our Gettysburg trip.
Yes, and the next few shows that we have will be pre-recorded. The next one is actually a pre-record, and it is with Marjorie Daring.
Yeah, that was fun.
We had fun. And let's see what else we got going on here. This Saturday's episode Rewind, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, is Stephen McGuire.
Let me say hello to a few people here.
Ooh, okay.
Joe Conjal says, "Good evening, Rob, Joan, and all the underground authors on the show." Hello, Joe.
Hello, Joe.
Kelly Marshall says, "Kelly Marshall here. Hey, Kelly."
Hey, Kelly.
George DeSmukes says, "George DeSmukes is here. Ain't got no beer, so my head is completely clear for now."
Yeah.
Good.
That's good. No
And
root beer even.
Joy Shelton York says, "Hi, all."
Hi,
Joy.
Okay, now, speaking of Joe, right at the end of our show, we're going to end right at 8 o'clock tonight. Go over to Voice of Indie Podcast, and if you're not sure how to get there, we have a little tutorial at the end of our show. It tells you how to get there. It's blogtalkradio.com / Voice of Indie 1, the number 1. Episode 211 is Joe Conjal. If you want to call in and ask him some tough questions, he's ready for you. He's been studying all week. And you just dial 516-453-9902. Okay, if you want to talk to him and ask him a tough question. Or if you're on Twitter, just do hashtag Fresh Ink Group, and comments or questions will be picked up by the Fresh Ink Group. So that's all I got. Do you have anything?
Joe Conjal says, "Aha, go for it." Yeah, I think everybody should go for it.
There you go. Well, why don't we bring in our guests?
Yes. All three of them.
All three of them. Here we go. Hi, guys.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Texas. Awesome. Hi, Richard.
Hey, Rox. Hey, Rob. Or Charles.
Who are we anyway? We really don't know. Does anybody really know who we are?
Kelly Marshall says, "A night with the authors." Yes.
Yes.
Kelly also is an underground author. Glad that you're here, Kelly. It's really nice to have you, as is CW, right? He's also one of the
You
underground.
and Joe.
Well,
yeah.
everybody knows Joe.
Oh, my goodness.
He doesn't miss a week on here.
Okay, let's get down to talking. We're going to have a break at about 20 minutes into the show here for our commercials, as usual, and again at 40 minutes. But let's get started with...
wait a minute. Newsflash. Kelly Marshall is just finishing her book up this week. Yay.
news.
Good
Breaking
job.
Yeah.
I go, Kelly.
Yeah. All right. Okay, book 27, The Ransom Enigma. I understand that's available on pre-order now, right?
Absolutely.
That's the way we've been advertising it anyway. And it releases on the 20th?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Is it on sale for the pre-order or what?
It is. It's 99 cents for the pre-order. We look forward to everybody grabbing it. The more the
We've
merrier.
already ordered ours.
We've already ordered it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you very, very much.
Well, hey, thanks for having us on your blog. That was actually
that
fun.
was beautiful. Good job.
That's fun. You guys are so fascinating.
Oh,
You
aren't
really
we?
are. You're very, very interesting people. You're kind. You're generous. And, you're all a good crowd, too.
We're just a couple of old people. That's all. Anyway, can you tell us a little bit about the Ransom Enigma?
I don't know. The Ransom Enigma, I think, is our best contribution so far to the Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles. So,
like anything else, I mean, you practice, you try it, you practice it, and I have to agree. It's this story thread is very compelling. A couple times I get lost, doing the edits, like what happens next, and so those are the kind of stories that you like. Somebody, I hope a whole bunch of somebody's are going to enjoy it.
Good.
So in the Enigma, we do stick with the characters we brought into this town originally. So JJ and Joe Rodriguez are back in town. They've actually built a home in Magnolia Bluff because they want to be able to visit whenever they have free time from their careers, their professional careers. So they built this house, and because they love this community so much, even though their previous experiences with the community have been riddled with, I don't know, fear, uncertainty, doubt, and murder, they actually have decided that it would be good to build a house and have a housewarming and give back to the entire community. So they invite everybody to come to their home for a housewarming, and it is an all-and-out bash.
Yeah.
There's dancing. What else? Come on.
They got a DJ, to be able to spin up the music. It's not too loud. They've got favorite adult beverages being dispersed unfortunately, by the chief of police because he doesn't want to see anybody overserved. It's kind of his mantra. And everybody's just having a good time. It's mellow, and then as things start to wind down, they move on.
Yeah, well, we know what that means in Magnolia Bluff. Murder, mystery, mayhem about to ensue. Joe, Kelly Marshall says, love that cover. I do too.
Oh, thank you.
And Joe Conjal said, the Ransom Enigma is going to be a good one. Yes, it is.
Thank you, Joe. Actually, Joe did a little pre-reading for us, so we're very grateful to him.
Kelly Marshall says, Ghost Chasers. And Paul Rushworth Brown says, hi from sunny Sydney. And
hey,
Rob,
Paul.
you've got a new hat.
I do, sir.
And Kelly said, is that all? And all right. Does Tommy wear an apron? Kelly wants to know.
No, not in this particular venue, but he does take his hat off sometimes.
And you have to read the books to understand the context.
Absolutely.
Let me show people. Your first book was The Flower Enigma.
Yep.
Where we meet Lily. Sweet Lily.
Lily, and we also meet Joe and JJ in that book because they visit,
of course,
Lark. Of course, they have to go to a bed and breakfast.
Yep, that's where ours went. They went to the Flower also.
And there's also a big line about, or a big theme about the podcast there in town, right?
Yep.
The gospel.
And the next is the Killer Enigma.
Exactly.
And then this one, which will be coming out on the 20th, but you can pre-order now, and I suggest that you do that and make sure that you get your book in a timely fashion.
Let me ask you guys a question that we're often asked. How do you guys work out working as co-authors?
Well, it's an interesting equation, if you will. Basically, we chart through an outline in a spreadsheet, and then we start taking chunks of it and writing and batting it back and forth using our patent pending technique of literary ping pong. And so the chapters go back, the characters go back and forth, and they all get wordsmithed and polished so that you can't tell who has written what. And that's important from our standpoint, because we want to make sure that when you pick up the book, it's like, wow, it sounds like one single voice, and that's the ambition that we always try to do for all of our books. So it doesn't look like, well, this is some of Charles's dabbling, and here's the polished stuff from Roxanne. You know, no.
Yeah.
But it's really hard. I mean, because we're not even in the same house like you guys are. So it's a little tough. So, thank gosh we're technologists by profession. So we know how to transmit stuff securely over the internet.
I mean, it's good because a lot of times and she's on travel, we'll fire up a Zoom call or a Google Meet. And it's good because we'll be able to discuss something. And if I've made a faux pas, then I can be dressed down and not be hit, from the with something heavy. It's like, no, we're not doing it that way because here's why. All right. Thanks for the explanation. So sometimes it does keep me out of trouble, and I can say, bad internet connection. I can drop and run and hide.
Well, we really like being co-authors, because you do bounce things off of each other, and you get to hear it in a different voice, reading it back to you and stuff like that. And for me, it's helpful. And the other person see things that you don't necessarily see. So it's, I like it. I like the collaboration.
Yeah.
And I agree, Joan. I think it's very, very important. The other thing is, I mean, he keeps me honest about in the dialogue about what a guy would say versus what a guy would not say. And so I think that's important. So it's good to have a collaboration where we can look at a guy character or a girl character and kind of get the dialogue the way it needs to be. And again, it's that single voice that we strive for.
Yeah, a couple of times it's been pointed out to me, Charles, please, no female on the planet would say it this way. Come on, that's just that doesn't occur that way. So I'm like, oh, that's right. So what's the best way to phrase it? So I get taught. And that's a good thing because being able to learn from a co-author that has good skills, good communication, good writing techniques. I've learned a lot from her, so that's important.
For sure, I know that even in our Rogue series, one of the reviews said that what he appreciated was that the male character was a male and the female was a female, and it was obvious that that a male and a female were writing. And that's true because Rob, when he was writing, had them eating meat and potatoes every single time. And I said, you know what? That girl is not going to be tall and slender for very long if she keeps eating like that. And also, maybe the drink of choice would be a cosmopolitan. It could be scotch, but, let's face it. A lot of us girls like mixed drinks and a salad every once in a while and maybe a quiche. So just saying. It does. I think it helps when you're co-authoring and that you have a male and a female voice. It really does. It helps.
Well, and particularly in this book, where we've got, it's very much skewed towards Joe, because JJ has made a ghastly mistake, and he's now in a coma, and Joe has to be able to take on all of the primary roles to be able to navigate through the detective attributes, finding the real killer and clearing her husband's name.
Kelly Marshall had said that's hard to do. She was talking about, the different voices. And Joe Conjal says, Rox and Charles, I think you said you outlined the story right. Do either of you do any pantsing along the way, or do you keep to the outline since you're co-authors?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we changed the thing along the way because the characters keep telling us what to do. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they sit up and bark at us. Yeah, that's no two ways about it.
They do, and they go off on tangents that you're like, what? What just happened there? And
Exactly.
CW says, that's why I have female beta readers. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, CW, because your beta readers will tell you, well, that doesn't make sense, in this context. And, I mean, our beta readers do. They're like, I didn't get that. And to you, in your head, you understand what you're writing. And if a third person is reading it and they don't get it, that's great, because then they can help your audience understand what you're trying to say, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Beta readers are important, people. That's all I have to say about that.
So you guys signed up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Joan, you're right. Beta readers are important.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, you guys are signed up for next year?
We do have a rough outline for season 4. Yes, we do. We're very delighted to still be included in this little fun party.
Yeah, we hope we get invited back for the fourth season. That's our ambition.
There you go.
Okay, Kelly wants to know, how long have you written together?
Okay, see,
starting today.
Today's Wednesday.
Probably 12 years plus.
And how many books have you guys published so far, including Ransom?
40 something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Are they all in the Enigma series?
Nope, they aren't. They are actually in multiple series. So the Enigma series, we capped at 12. We also went off on a venue of short stories for a while. Then we got invited to be part of the Underground Authors, which was absolutely wonderful for us because we could go down this new genre path. So that was really fun. And then novellas, we've done a couple of different novellas, and it's just, fun. We're just having fun.
Historical fiction was one of those things where it came about because some of these cyber good guys in the Enigma series, where'd they come from? And it was an honest question from one of the readers, and we're like, oh, wow. And it's one of those things where we sat down and and it flowed really pretty fast because it starts off with, World War II, my favorite subject, and the invasion of Poland by the Germans. And that's where the three patriots decide to strike back. And when they do, they're successful, and they build an information dynasty that goes through 3 generations, now into 4 generations. So it's good backstory material. That's kind of where the short stories came from. Characters that we didn't quite have room for in the major books, but people said, "What about this this Zara character? Or what about this? Where did JJ and Joe come from? How did they get together? Those things that are like, okay, they don't quite fit, but a good short story might do as well." So fun work, and it's looking back on it, it's like, wow, there's a lot of stitching together of information, backstories, and novels that have spilled over and as they say, grown legs and taken off.
Awesome. Well, we have to break for commercial. But before we do, I just want to read a few of these comments that have come in. Marjorie Deering said 40 books in 12 years. That's really impressive. It is.
Indeed.
And Joe Conjal says, have either of you written any books as a solo author? Hold that thought for a minute. Kelly Marshall said, that's an excellent story, Out of Poland. And CW says, Out of Poland is a wonderful story. So if you can hold that thought, we'll let you answer that question about writing any books as solo authors. When we come back from the commercials, then we're going to bring Richard on stage, and he is going to talk to us about his books.
That's right.
Then after the next commercials, we'll give everybody all of your information on how to get in touch with you and
There you
tie
go.
it all up.
All right. So don't go away, folks. Got
Yes.
a lot to talk about.
Yes.
It's 1919, and Eric Laska returns from the war in Europe. Two new enemies await him in the small coal mining town he calls home. One is a threat to his relationship with Rebecca, the love of his life. The other, a bloodthirsty beast, is stalking the mining town residents. The townspeople suspect Eric of one of the killings. An old man and Rebecca's 11-year-old sister have seen the beast, but only Eric believes their story. To protect the town and clear his name, he's forced to prove the werewolf exists. Available on Amazon. The Horror Within by Marjorie Swift Doring.
The clock is ticking. Can Gracie uncover the truth?
Philip Pliant is the wealthy opportunist plastics dealer and CEO of Pliant Industries. He's also a master thief, creating a pervasive threat to the manufacturing infrastructure in the Caribbean islands markets. With the cartel as his stealth client, the naive city leaders have been seduced, enabling the production of more than three-dimensional building materials.
The expected profits are monstrous.
Is the art group, now led by Gracie and the family heirs, strong enough to win against this predator?
Can JJ's cats act on the root cause analysis in time?
Will Gracie be able to squash Pliant and the cartels?
Gracie never considered their lives would hang in the balance. The clock is ticking. 5, 4, 3.
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Now comes part 4 in the Jaguar series by retired Hollywood scriptwriter George Dismukes. In this saga, Brandon, Andrea, and Naja, the Black Jaguar, go deep into the Mato Grosso jungle on a mission to rescue 2 kidnapped children. During their journey, they encounter many dangers, including Yanomami Indians, bent on revenge for the murder of one of their warriors.
Return of the Jaguar is book 4 in the Jaguar series, starting with 2 faces of the Jaguar, the Lost City, and the Jaguar's Quest. All 4 are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other bookseller websites worldwide. Return of the Jaguar is a must-read.
We're back.
We are.
Can you quickly answer, have either of you written any books as a solo author?
So I'll answer that. And so, yes, we have done that, but we seem to write better together. It's bouncing off of one another, like we talked about before.
Okay.
All righty.
Hello, Richard.
Hi, Richard.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
You've been sitting there patiently, listening to all of our stuff here. Let me go over the books that you've written for the Underground
First
authors.
of all, yours is coming out September 20th, right?
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Can't pre-order it yet.
No,
Is
no,
it not available yet? Okay.
So look for it. You'll be able to pre-order it at the beginning of September, I assume.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So your first book was The Shine from a Girl in the Lake, which I've read all of you guys' books so far, so they're really great. Then there's Men Lying Dead in a Field. And then the one coming out is for boys who struggle with darkness.
This is probably the first peek anybody's had of this cover, right, Richard?
Yep, absolutely.
You just got it.
it's a really thought-provoking cover. So, Richard, explain to people who maybe don't know who our protagonist is in this storyline, and a little bit about your stories.
The cover, which, as you all know, is designed by Crispy and Thoroughborn, is a little bit of a tease, and it doesn't really become clear until close to the end of the book, and then it becomes quite obvious what it is. But I had two quick comments actually on what Rox and Charles were saying.
Okay.
First of all, about their characters moving there, I was thinking that for all the high mortality rate, Magnolia Bluff is quite a nice place. And, and like them, I feel like I've done my best book. And I was just thinking that we're developing synergies, all of us, as we build Magnolia Bluff. You know, the complexity, the subtleties, and the characters are all emerging.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Kurlek is a clinical psychologist and archer who moved from Michigan to Magnolia Bluff a few years ago. He has a lot of gifts. He's a big, tall, strong, handsome, brilliant guy who also has some flaws. He's too much of a drinker. He's a little on the sneaky side. He has anger issues. And he moved from a very eminent, good family to a place where he didn't know anybody. And he runs a clinical practice in Burnett College. And he is someone who's been integrating into the town while being something of an outsider. And in the new book, Town and Gown, the university or the college and the town sort of come into play. There's a lot going on. His new wife is pregnant. His best friend has just been nearly beaten to death in a home invasion. Something very strange is going on at the college that he doesn't understand. And one of the characters from the first book, who facilitated a number of murders, has been released from prison back to the college to work. So, all the students are coming in, and Mike is doing everything in his power to hold himself together. And, you know, it doesn't give too much away to say that the book opens with him in O'Gara's bar, holding a man he just discovered was a wife beater up against the wall on his tiptoes by his throat. And Buck Blanton, the town sheriff, is attempting to talk him down. So it starts with him being quite wound up. And as always, there's a combination of the psychology and the story and the town, the local police people, Tommy Jagger, the police chief, and Reese Sovereign, the detective. So I feel pretty good about this. And I think as a group, we're finding our dramatic chops as we move along.
Yeah, that's, you know, I know that in the review that I wrote for your book, that I said people would never guess who the killer is. So we don't want to say too much about who he is and how he's come back and why that's so shocking, but it is really shocking. Did you happen to mention that Mike is drop dead gorgeous when you were just talking now? Because I don't think that you did.
Well, you know, that's meant to be a little bit of a sub-theme of the book. And it comes from a period of time where I was counseling a lot of models and people who were being abused in some ways because of their looks. So I thought, you know, what the heck? What if I devise a character who is strikingly handsome and make him a therapist? If someone is a therapist, so many things come into play in the undercurrents, the subconscious mind. And people are always, you know, there are things called transference and countertransference. If you start seeing me in a way that's more than me, that's called transference. If I start seeing you, if I'm the therapist, in a way that's more than you, that's countertransference. And that's something every therapist has to consider. And in Mike's case, because he is, as good looking as he is, and his wife now of a year is totally making fun of it. It's and even the head of the college wants him to meet the new parents because he's the good looking young face of academia. And he's saying, "What? It's about my looks." So it's a funny kind of thing. It's a dynamic that allows for some humor in what are actually some very grim stories.
Yeah, that's right. And also I think it's great that you are a therapist and therefore you know how a therapist thinks and you're able to convey that, and it makes the book very real. And it's interesting, having gone to therapists, and I think everybody should, just my personal opinion. It was fun to look at it from the other side because I know what my take on therapy was, but it was fun for me to get into your head and see how it is when you look at a patient and talk to a patient, what you think and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? I liked it.
It's an interesting way of looking at things. There's a little tiny subplot in the book, which I found kind of amusing to write, where Mike has a client who is boring. And if you were a therapist, there's no such thing as a boring client. If someone is doing that to you, that's your countertransference playing itself out. You are analyzing it. You're wondering why. You're wondering what he does to other people. But Mike is both doing that and feeling really guilty, about finding this guy boring, and he does something that a real therapist might do inadvertently or subconsciously.
Yeah.
He starts bringing coffee to the session for him and the client. And writing these books has really made me realize just how deeply integrated the therapist mindset is in therapists.
Yeah.
So Richard, be honest. Have you ever fallen asleep while you were going through a session with a client?
Which is why you brought coffee for the boring one.
I haven't. My countertransference was that I would get sleepy with a depressed client. And
okay.
Again, the analytic mindset is what kind of took you through that. But again, if you get sleepy in a session, you're looking inwards and you're saying, why am I getting sleepy? What is this teaching me about the person in front of me? And how does this affect that person's life? How am I reproducing what's going on in that individual's life? So now how do we take that and use it to move the client beyond that?
I hope you all realize that you're getting very expensive advice for free here. Just letting you know, as I said, I've been through therapy. That costs a lot of money.
It's interesting because the other thing about Mike is he's also he was a linebacker in college. He's a bow hunter. He's very much a physical, action-oriented guy. Yeah. And so this is something else that he has to play out, which is all this kind of animal energy inside of him. And him getting angry. Again, there's another scene in the book later on where another therapist that he's dealing with hauls off and gives him a punch in the arm. And he looks at it and says, "What's that about?" And she said, "What do you think would happen if you did that to me?" He said, "I'd never do that." And she said, "Humor me. What would happen?" He said, "You'd be a pile of bones against the back wall." And she says, "That's something for you to think about, Mike." And again, it's one more thing he has to integrate is his physicality.
CW says that sounds like an intense story.
This one is actually.
It is. I can tell already. Joe Condrell said, I love how all the authors are true to Magnolia Bluff as a whole and at the same time have developed their own miniseries with the bigger series makes for a ton of fun reading. That's absolutely right. Yes. Yes, because all of the characters are integrated. Kelly, as a matter of fact, Kelly says, my character Madison was attracted to Mike. Wasn't every female in Magnolia Bluff?
Well, it's interesting. Madison has some very important roles in this new book.
Good.
And, I don't want to give too much away, but she has 2 key roles, as does Joe's character, Brandon Turner. So it's nice to bring in Mike, by the way, is a total skeptic around all the paranormal stuff. He thinks all this ghost stuff is absolute hooey.
We're going to have to put him in our next book.
Well, I'm thinking about the 4th book, but it's been really nice to give roles to each other's characters, and I know some people have done that with Mike as well. So it's nice. You don't have to dream up a name for them because they already have one, which I always find hard. And they're right there in Magnolia Bluff, and a little bit of back and forth with their author, just to make sure you're being true to the character and provide you don't kill them, as we all know.
Right. I'm glad we don't have to hire agents for our characters.
Yes,
that would get quite expensive.
Marjorie Deering says, humor is a wonderful counterbalance. Without that, I think we wouldn't fare well. Yeah. When we're writing really suspenseful things that have more. Robert White says, hi all also from Australia. Hi, Robert.
Hi, Robert.
We've missed you. I hope you're good. Kelly Marshall wants to know, Joan, did chasing ghosts drive you into therapy? No, not chasing ghosts. An abusive mother and an abusive first husband drove me into therapy. So not so funny, but true. And it happens to a lot of women, just saying. So, get help if you find yourself in that situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But now look at almost 50 years with the right guy.
Did you say a white guy?
Yes, you happen to be white, but I said right. Right guy, right. Not the white guy. Lord.
So Richard, I'm going to ask you, are you a pantser or a plotter?
I do a very general plot in my head before I start. And I generally stick fairly close to it, but you could probably write it down on one of these, and the rest of it just comes out. As I've gotten a bit older, the plotting for a mystery has gotten trickier, and I always live in fear that I'm going to completely muck up some plot point. But knock on wood, so far so good. But generally, I would say I'm more of a pantser.
Okay. So, and before we go to our last break here, you've written several other books. Can you tell us a little bit about what kind of repertoire you have there?
I have a mystery series, a paranormal mystery series. I've written about a dozen self-help books on a number of topics, mostly to do with family and marriage. And I've written some humor books and humor/hobby books that I'm going to call the Hobbies from Hell series. But I really related to what Roxanne and Charles were saying when they said they had fun. They were writing for fun. And I was thinking, if it pops into my head, I want to write about it. Then off I go. So I've got a couple of trilogies out there and lots of self-help books.
Okay, cool.
That's great.
We're going to cut away for our commercials, our last set of commercials, and then when we come back, we're going to tell everyone how to reach all of you guys.
And we have more comments.
Yeah, and we got a few more comments to talk about. So don't go away, folks.
This novel, set against the backdrop of the English Civil War, explores love and survival amidst the chaos of war. It combines historical events with personal narratives, highlighting the impact of conflict on individuals and families. England, 1642. When bloody civil war breaks out between the king and parliament, families and communities are driven by different allegiances. Red Winter Journey is a sweeping tale of adventure and loss, sacrifice and love, with a unique and unforgettable story of a mother's love for her son at its heart. A historic journey of twists, turns, and a dash of spirited passion.
I finished reading the book a couple of days ago. It was a great read. The plot was indeed compelling, and I loved the conclusion. What I particularly enjoy in Paul's novels is his vivid recounting of historical details as to the social and cultural sides at the time. His characters are very likable and relatable.
Have you wanted to publish your story? Have you thought about self-publishing? Today is your day. 5-star Amazon review. Self-publish your ebook on Amazon for free in 2024. This ebook is available on Amazon by Becca L. Jones.
Paradise, my prison. Charlie Flint awakens from a deep sleep and finds himself alone on a tropical beach surrounded by a palm tree jungle and exotic animals. He cannot remember who he is or anything about his life. First, he must find food and build shelter and protect himself from hidden dangers. As his memory gradually returns, it reveals what a very flawed person he is. A man who made too many mistakes, made too many enemies. The implications of the truth are staggering. How did Charlie get there? And will he save himself? Paradise, My Prison is the riveting new suspense thriller from retired Hollywood scriptwriter George Dismukes. Paradise, My Prison by George Dismukes is available in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats worldwide.
And we're back.
Yeah, as promised.
Okay, so the comments, Kelly Marshall said, love that. I'm not sure which thing we had been commenting about that she loved, good. But okay. Joe Conjal says, signing off, got to wander over to the radio dial. Hope to see you all there later. Great show tonight. Yep, reminding you all to go and pester the heck out of Joe. CW says, Richard's humor and fiction are absolutely wonderful reads. Agreed.
Thanks, CW.
And Kelly Marshall says, agreed. Richard brings humor and emotional depth to his stories. Yeah, as I said, from a therapist's point of view, it was really fun for me to get into a therapist's head for a change instead of the patient's head, which I'm still in the patient's head. So anyway.
Waiting patiently.
Like I said, I think everybody should do therapy. And actually, Richard, you, when talking to you, almost convinced me to have regression therapy to see if I had indeed been abducted by aliens, which, the people at MUFON seem to think that I have been. I don't think I have, though. I don't think I have. I don't think I want to know.
You want to get somebody who's skilled for that. Like who's really skilled in hypnotherapy, someone from the American Association of Clinical Hypnosis.
Yeah. So I don't get freaked out by whatever is revealed. Exactly.
That's a big part of hypnosis, is preventing what they call an abreaction, which is where you enter into the experience. Yes. So you don't want somebody who's going to just blindly lead you into that. It's if you do regression therapy, you're going to hear some very interesting things. That's why you want somebody who really knows what they're doing to do it.
Absolutely. So Breakfield and Burkey, we're going to go with your stuff first here. Breakfield and Burkey websites are enigmaseries.com.
Enigma Book Series.
Enigmabookseries.com. Yeah, those of you who are listening, Enigma Book Series. This is why I spell it ENIG.
No, both work. It's okay. Both work.
Oh, okay. EnigmaBookSeries, and also roxburkey.com, RoxBurkey.com. And so there they can find everything that they need, all your social media and everything like that, so that they can reach you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Find
And
all your books.
audiobooks as well.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And trailers
also,
and fun stuff. Sorry.
and you have an email, authors@enigmaseries.com. And so that's, well, you guys know how to spell authors and the @ sign, and then Enigma Series, ENIGMASERIES. Yes. And Richard's website is richardschwindt.ca. So that's RICHARDSCHWINDT.ca. And his email is rgschwindt@gmail.com. So that's RGSCHWINDT. And I have to spell that because our largest audience isn't seeing the podcast. They're only listening. They're either listening on the radio station, or they're listening on Spotify or something else like that. So, Richard, are all of your social media and everything like that on your website, and where people can reach you and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, good. Yep. I see you, both of you, out on social media a lot, which is good. We're out there a little bit too. I've taken over all of our Twitter accounts, so yeah, that's been fun.
Or not.
I stopped doing it years ago, and we had bots to do it, but I took it back over recently. So, yep, I gotta love it. I just love doing it. I really do. Maybe I'll convince myself. Yes, both Roxanne and Kelly have said this. Richard is an excellent painter as well. He shows them on X. Yeah, I know. I still call it Twitter. He does show them, and I repost them. And he is an excellent painter. Do you sell your paintings?
Occasionally. I don't put any energy into selling them. To be really honest, I mostly give them away. And if anybody of your listeners have a charity auction or anything like that, use the email. I'll send you something.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Are your paintings on your website too? I know that, I see them on Twitter, or X as it really is. Oh, Kelly says he gave me one. I love it. That's nice.
They are amazing. I mean, he is such a talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. They're beautiful.
So Richard, you haven't even really disturbed.
Stop.
They're not. I haven't seen any.
They're rainbows and puppy dogs, all of them.
They're very pastoral. But I wouldn't mind seeing a really disturbed one, actually.
See, I tell you. Yeah, right.
A lot of people will paint to calm down. It's it activates a very calming part of the brain. The part of you that has a brush in your hand is completely calming your brain down. Some people will still be very agitated. I didn't mean to intellectualize this, but it is true. It's you draw, you paint. It is very calming, and a lot of therapists paint on their spare time, just as a way of sort of coming down from whatever has been going on in their lives or what they've been listening to all day.
Yeah, especially what they've been listening to all day. I'm sure not fun.
Unless you have no talent, and then picking up that brush is really frustrating. Stick figures. Yep. Oh, I messed it up again.
I can't even do stick figures. As a matter of fact, we have our youngest grandchild is 9, But since she's been 3, she's been telling me to leave the art to her. Because I'll draw things on pie crusts and stuff, and she'll go, "What is that supposed to be?" And then I'll do it for you, Gran. And she does it better. So now, Kelly spelled this wrong, and she knows she did. But any Rorschach pictures, Richard?
I've never figured out what Rorschach tests mean. So I'm completely lost there.
Yeah, I suppose it's supposed to tell something about your psyche and what you see, right? In an ink blot. They all look like bats to me. So actually, they all look like ink blots to me. They look like an ink blot. It looks like somebody put ink on one side of the paper, folded it, and opened it up.
Yep, and there it is. Yep, that's it. Yeah.
That's what it looks
like. It's called an oopsie at my house. Oopsie.
And so you're all geared up for number 4 also, are you, Richard?
Yeah, I've got a fairly rough idea. Yeah, what I want to do. Charles, Roxy, you were talking about yours. You've got an idea where you're going next?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a theme and something of a plot outline already roughed out. So again, so long as she's driving too fast, I have to focus on something else to be able to keep them screaming. Ah!
Here's our really good friend, Tom
Hi,
Nally.
Tom.
Hi, Tom. How are you doing? With his empty chair.
That's Tom.
That's Tom. We would do podcasts together back in the day, very long time ago. And often we would come back from a break or whatever, and there would just be an empty chair. Tom would have gone someplace.
We would talk to him. We'd talk to the chair.
The empty chair.
Yeah.
He said he's doing good. Oh, doing good. Just got back from date night with the goddess. Cool.
Whoa. That sounds like a story for another day.
Okay, who's the goddess? We got to know who the goddess is. Let's go.
They're patiently waiting, Tom. It's the girl he's dating. He says, I do still have that chair here in my computer room. Yes, we got to know your chair very well.
Yes. Glad to know it's doing well.
And he has a popular YouTube. Yes, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I think we need to wind down now so that we can get folks over to see Joe, or listen to Joe, I should say.
Yeah,
and
Joe just
pepper him with questions.
Yeah, Joe left, but really I encourage everybody to go over and bug him.
Right, and we'll tell you again how to do that. Actually, I can do that right now. Do you guys, Richard or Charles or Rox, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, thanks again for having us on.
Thank you for being inviting us to the show. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And Richard?
Oh, it's always a pleasure to talk with fellow underground authors and talk about Magnolia Bluff. So very happy to be here tonight.
We are too, and it's an easy show for us because, this is like our meetings. We all talk together.
Yeah.
That's why the meetings go so long. Tom Nally said, the goddess is Stephanie. I've known her since I was 16, and now as adults, we are together and completely in love. Congratulations.
I'm really glad to hear that.
I know.
Yay.
So good. Joy Shelton, New York said, great show all. I want to remind everybody to tune in tomorrow night into our haunted campfire show. We'll be talking about Gettysburg and showing you some evidence that we have.
I'll tell you all about the time we spent there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So after the show here, like I said, there's a little tutorial as soon as we sign off. So watch that if you still have any questions. But right at the end of the show, go to Voice of Indie Podcast, and that's on blogtalkradio.com / Voice of Indie 1, the number 1. Episode 211 is what you're looking for, and that's with Joe Conjol. If you wanted to call and talk, be on the air and ask a question of Joe, It's 516 area code 453-9902. And if you hashtag Fresh Ink Group on Twitter, that'll also get a comment to the show, to Joe.
I highly recommend calling in.
Right.
So Kelly Marshall had said, sweet. I put that up there. But Paul Holness said, great show. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for
Glad to
coming,
see you,
Paul.
Paul.
We know you're busy. CW says, great show as usual. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Rob, before the history rolls over, nice hat. It's very much you, and very much upscale from the ball cap you were wearing. So,
Well,
my endorsement of your choice.
We are not. This is the closest we're getting to moving to Texas.
But you can come and have dinner anytime you're in town.
There you go. We will. We'll drop by next time we head that way.
One more comment, and then we really need to sign off. Kelly Marshall says, you make it all look easy, Joan and Rob. Oh, thank you, Kelly. That's a really nice compliment, but actually, you know what? It really is easy because everybody, our guests on the show and our audience make the show and make it easy and fun and enjoyable.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's that tutorial we were promising you. And I guess until next time.
That's all, folks.
Bye, all.
Good night.
Bye.
Live every Wednesday, your Voice of Indie hosts Beam Weeks and Stephen Gees welcome authors, musicians, publishing industry pros, artists, and assorted creative guests for an exciting interactive hour. Call in during the show or post questions and comments on Twitter for responses in real time. Meet your favorite indie creators, learn inside tips, network, and promote your work. The link for each week's show is pinned on Twitter atop @VoiceOfIndie. And you can receive the link every Wednesday morning in your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter at freshinkgroup.com. Check out Voice of Indie every Wednesday on Blog Talk Radio and catch hundreds of episodes archived everywhere from our websites to our YouTube channel and Spotify.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DV.com.